Yes,
So you're
everybody knows.
participating, Sylvia. We just cannot see you.
I'm
So
incognito.
you're okay. You're fine.
Incognito today.
So I am going to ask if you would, as we are now on Facebook as well, just a second, I'm going to ask if you would mute yourselves, and that way we can all be quiet for hearing the story that Rachel is going to be sharing, except I don't see Rachel at the moment on my screen.
I'm here.
There you are. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm looking and I'm blanking. Okay, so I'm gonna spotlight you
Okay,
and I can begin with our story.
sure. Thank you. Before I start the story, I want to give a little background because it helps appreciate it. Now, there's a lot of things we take for granted in modern times, and one of them is running water, especially that we can turn on hot and cold water. So that plays a role in this story, in the fact that that was not the way it was in ancient times when this story takes place. Plus the fact that it was difficult to get water. You pulled it up from a well, you didn't turn on your sinks, and you weren't going to bathe as much, but it would be very important to bathe before Shabbat. So you would have to get all that water. The water would have to be heated. If the water got cold, you were really pretty much stuck with that. So that gives you what you'll see in the story about how impatient most of us would get if we were actually interrupted while we were taking a bath at that point. So this story is about Hillel. Now, Hillel was a famous rabbi, and one of the things that he was known for was that he actually started learning very late. So he was more than 40 years old when he left his home in Babylonia and went to Jerusalem to study Torah with the great scholars. So it's never too late to start studying. It wasn't an easy life. He had very little money doing odd jobs, but he got through the hard times because he had imagination, humor, and a lot of patience. So when his learning surpassed that of his teachers, he became known as a great sage. Even the children knew who he were. There goes the famous Hillel, Zeb muttered, nudging his friend as they watched the great man hurrying home on his way one Friday afternoon. Oh, I've heard of him, Asher said. My mother always says she wishes she had a little bit of his patience every time I get into trouble at school. That's nothing, Zeb said. My father actually threatened to send me to study with him. Asher laughed. Oh, I feel sorry for poor Hillel if he was your teacher. He's probably the only one who might be able to straighten you out, though. Oh, you think so, Zeb said. And there was a look on Zeb's face that Asher knew very well, which meant there was going to be trouble soon. I bet, said Zeb, that he wouldn't be able to put up with me for long. What? You'd study with him just to prove me wrong, Asher said. No, of course not, said Zeb. I'll just bet you 100 coins that I can make Hillel lose his temper. If he gets angry, you have to pay me. If I don't, I have to pay you. Interested? Asher nodded enthusiastically. Oh, this should be good, he said, and the two of them headed for Hillel's house. Now, Asher hid behind a tree so he could watch his friend as his friend knocked on Hillel's door. Hello, Zeb said, is anybody at home? Is a man named Hillel here? There was a splashing sound from inside, and then footsteps hurried to open the door. The great man himself opened it. Well, hello, young man, said Hillel, smiling, though there was water dripping from his beard. What can I do for you? Oh, no, Zeb said, trying to look sorry. You were taking a bath. Oh, before Shabbat. Don't be annoyed with me. I'll ask you my questions some other time. And he started to back away. Oh, I'm not annoyed, said Hillel. You're already here, so go ahead and ask. What do you want to know? Oh, well, I was wondering, said Zeb, why is the sky blue? And he could see there was a little smirk because he was trying not to act like he was being obnoxious deliberately, but he couldn't help it. Said Hillel, that is some question. Now I have annoyed you, Zeb said quickly. Oh, no, you didn't let me finish, Hillel said. I was just going to say the sky is blue. The sky is blue to match the sea. Yes, that must be it. He nodded goodbye in a friendly way as he shut the door. Zeb looked back at Asher and shrugged. He wasn't going to give up that easily because he didn't want to lose the bet. Hello, Zeb yelled more loudly than before, knocking on his door. Hello, help, Hillel, it's important. This time when Hillel opened the door, his whole head was wet, but he still didn't look angry. What is it? Is something wrong? He asked. Not exactly, said Zeb. I just wanted to ask you something else. You're not mad, are you? Of course not, Hillel said. Young man, ask. I'm just curious, Zeb said. Why is the sea blue? Another important question, Hillel laughed. The sea is blue so that we can tell it apart from the green land. Shabbat shalom, he said and smiled and shut the door again. Asher held one hand over his mouth to try to keep from laughing. Zeb, he whispered loudly, are you ready to give up yet? You better have those 400 coins ready because I think I won our bet. But Zeb didn't answer. His face was red, whether it was with anger or embarrassment, and he raised a clenched fist and then banging on the door. Hillel, he screamed, open up. This time, the door opened immediately. I didn't get back into the tub, Hillel explained with amusement, because I thought you might be back. Zeb ignored this. I had a question, a very important one, he said, scowling, but now I forgot what it is. Are you angry now? But Hillel came outside and sat on the doorstep. Well then, he said, if it was that important, I'll sit here and wait until you remember. If Hillel was going to get mad, he would have done it already. Zeb sighed heavily and sat down next to him. All right, I just remembered, he said. Go ahead, said Hillel, ask. Zeb glared at him. Are you the great scholar Hillel? Yes, I guess I am, Hillel said. Well, I hope there aren't any more like you, Zeb said, practically spitting out each word. Child, why do you say such a thing? Because you just made me lose 400 coins. Zeb stamped his foot and gestured to Asher. I bet my friend over there that I could make you lose your temper, but it's impossible. Asher crept up from his hiding place and stood nervously next to his friend. What punishment were they going to be in for? Neither of them could look Hillel in the eye. When Hillel spoke, his voice was as warm as ever. You really are a very good student, he said to Zeb, smoothing his hair. You just discovered for yourself that it never pays to lose your temper. Then grinning at both of them, Hillel returned to his bath. So I don't know that I would have had quite that much patience, especially if someone was interrupting me that many times, but Hillel was known as an extraordinary man. So that is our story for tonight. Thank you.
So the Hebrew word for patience is savlanut. And for any of you who've been in Israel, where there's a lot of bureaucracy, and we have it here too, but people always say savlanut is such an important word because to get things done, you have to be willing to wait a long time at each place along the way. And I think, we get tested for our anger or not and our patience as whenever we think we have things one way, as we were saying before, things change. So we have one way we're doing things, regulations change, whatever it may be. So savlanut, patience, is a good thing to consider along the way. So we are going to make Havdalah for the end of Shabbat as soon as I share the blessings in the chat. So one moment, and that way everybody has the words. And enjoy finally getting to warm weather, right? Even though it went fairly extreme fairly quickly, it's still nice. And the sun peeked through when I was walking at one point. I think I was glad it wasn't out fully because that would have made it a lot hotter on the walk. So now the question is, wear a hat, not wear a hat. Wear sunscreen, don't wear sunscreen. All the things we need to do to care for ourselves in the heat and in the changing seasons. So I invite you to light your candles. And you have your cup of wine or juice as well. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen borei peri hagafen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei v'samim borei minei v'samim. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei me'orei ha'esh borei me'orei ha'esh. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh lechol ben or lechoshech ben yom hashmi'i l'sheshet yemei ha'maseh. Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh lechol Take one more moment to savor the last bits of Shabbat, and then we put our candles out and our wine or juice. I invite you to unmute to sing Eliyahu Hanavi with me. Sometime I should switch the melody up. There's another Eliyahu Hanavi. Maybe I'll teach you one week. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hakiladi, Bimheira, Biyamenu, Yavo Eleinu, Imashiach ben David, Imashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hakiladi. And we sing together Shavua Tov to wish one another and everyone a good week and a week of peace. Hopefully the ceasefire will continue and we'll find other ways to move towards peace in our world and in our lives. Shavua Tov, 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 a good week, a week of peace, may gladness reign and joy increase. A good week, a week of peace, may gladness reign and joy increase. Shavua Tov. We'll be back same way next week. The week after, we will be doing Sisterhood installation along with Havdalah. So it'll be the same time and we'll be on Zoom, but we also will be in the garden at the temple. So we'll be trying a gathering with masks there. On here, you don't have to wear masks. When we're in person somewhere, we're still wearing masks to, again, protect everyone as we move forward in these different times.